August. The last week was really interesting for the Russian oil storages and Russian oil refinery facilities. You can see the map, and it's not everything that Ukraine hit the last week, just the most important part. Angles, so Saratov alone was hit 2 of the times, once the oil storage and jet fuel storage facility, and the other day refinery. And the most recent strikes happened not far away from Moscow. And here's the latest satellite image from the Engels oil storage base. You may see that Russia lost 4 of the big tanks here, and probably 1 here and 1 over here. Yes, still Russia has many more of the tanks, but the operation of the entire facility after the fire and destruction is over for some time. And Ukraine still has many more drones to finish the job. Well, in fact, for the last 2 weeks, Ukraine launches more drones to hit Russia than Russia launches to hit Ukraine. And Ukraine has the potential to produce many more drones. Well, mostly Luty drone is used for this job. It looks like Bayraktar TB2 as for the construction, but it is smaller. However, it may fly for the long distance. The range is up to 1000 kilometers, so it may reach Moscow. Well, as you know, Ukraine has many more of the long-range drones. Not everything is presented over here, but every drone has its own purpose. So why do the oil storage facilities are also important for Ukraine to hit? Because Ukraine might concentrate all of the efforts to target refineries. Because in the oil refineries you have very sensitive components, equipment, which only could be produced in the Western countries. So by damaging that equipment, Ukraine guarantees that refinery will be out of use for an extensive period of time, or maybe closed for decades, because Russia is under the sanctions and they cannot get Western parts. Well, sometimes they may, but it's not the easy way for them. But those reservoirs, they're kind of easy to produce even inside Russia, but still Russia needs to waste lots of the resources for the production. And Ukraine also may disturb this oil facility operation for extensive period of time, and Russia will not be able to store their oil in those tanks. Moreover, many of those oil storages are fuel storages, as for example in Engels. The last week it's been confirmed that Ukraine hit reservoir with a jet fuel. The storage facility name is Crystal, and it was used to deliver jet fuel to the Engels air base, which is one of the main bases for the Russian strategic aviation. It means that Ukraine goes all in to target Russian oil infrastructure. It has never been like that before. Well, I remember maybe last winter Ukraine started to use the drones to hit oil infrastructure, but later on some of our allies say to Ukraine it's better not to do it because it might rise the oil prices, but now no one cares. Joe Biden is leaving office, Donald Trump is not yet in the office, so Ukraine has hands untied to do what it should have done long time ago. And also the Russian oil industry was pushed from the other side by extreme sanctions applied by United States of America, and not only. The Russian oil tanker shuttle fleet is in a deep trouble, as well as the companies which worked with it. So the countries which bought the Russian oil through this dark scheme cannot obtain their oil because Russian ships are unable to dock in those countries. Insurance companies reject any sort of the operations, plus the third-party agents also refuse to operate those shadow ships. So India is starting at an oil shock as United States sanctions on Russia crude oil loom. So they were caught by surprise. I mean, India, China and Russia. No one expected those sanctions. And now many of the ships are just drifting around the coast of India and China, unable to dock. Also, there is some of the encouraging information from the future White House administration of Donald Trump. It seems like, after all, Donald Trump, with the support of the future financial minister, they want to press Putin more, to push him for some sort of the negotiations, and they want to apply more sanctions. We have the articles around the internet about those news. And sorry, not the financial minister, but the Treasury Secretary, and this time it's called Bessent. So Trump's Treasury speak back strong sanctions on Russia. It's good. He said that if Donald Trump comes out with the idea to push Russia harder, he would 100% support that move. So I wouldn't say that all of the Trump's team is bad. No, they're looking for some sort of the solution, which might include pressing Russia harder. But whether it works or not, only time might show. Maybe Russia, China and India would come out with some new ideas to create, for example, one-day companies, one-day insurance companies to continue to operate this oil tanker shuttle fleet. Well, what should be done as I see it, I think that the sanctions should be applied on the Russian ports and no shadow fleet should be allowed to leave the Russian ports or get in. I'm speaking first of all about Ust-Luga port and the Russian port in Novorossiysk. You know that in the Gulf of Finland and in the Baltic Sea there are many of the provocations from the Russian or even Chinese side. There were lots of the cases that the cables were cut by the Russian or Chinese ships. Not long time ago, one of the Russian tankers lost the main engine and was drifting there, which is kind of dangerous because it is kind of the small area, it's not the open ocean, so the vessel may hit the bottom, which could lead to the ecological disaster. As it happened, by the way, recently in Azov and Black Sea, then 3 of the Russian oil tankers had oil leaked. 2 of the tankers were totally destroyed by the storm, so Russia continued to prove that it's really reckless with everything. With its military that shut down the commercial airplanes, with its operation in international waters, so there are 3 of the levers which international community and most of all NATO countries should use to stop the Russian oil export. First sanctions, then sabotage activity, especially in the Gulf of Finland, and the third one, the threat for ecology. So at least Ust-Luga port could be banned with that, and Ukraine potentially may block the Russian Novorossiysk port. Those are 2 main ports for Russia because they are in the warm waters. Yes, even though Russia is the biggest country out there, still it has just limited access to the warm waters, its geography, and this part is covered by ice. There are 3 or maximum 4 months then you can operate northern waters. That's why for Russia it was critical to get the ports in the Baltic Sea and also in Kaliningrad. That's why it still belongs to Russia. They don't want to give it, for example, to Germany. And the Black Sea, as I told you, Novorossiysk port is also important for Russia. It's the biggest port for them in the Black Sea. And they export the oil using this oil storage. So at first they deliver the oil there and then they move everything with their ships. Ukraine, by the way, hit this facility several of the times. But Ukraine already has some of the interesting tools to shut down the Russian Novorossiysk port. Ukraine might use drone boats for that purpose. With enough boats it is possible, and Ukraine modified those so they may carry manpads, the portable air defense missiles, which already shut down at least 2 of the helicopters and damaged 1 more. By the way, here you can see the drone boat with the first prototype of the air defense. Here's the short-range air-to-air missile, but it didn't work by the time. So the manpads like Stinger or Strela are more profitable, and moreover, some of the drone boats are able to carry FPV drones, which might help to defend the attack. They will not hit the air targets, but they will hit the ground targets. Like for example, Ukraine already hit the Panzer 1S system, the Russian air defense. So Ukraine might start this move in combination with more sanctions applied, and if our partners will start to apply sanctions on the Russian, for example, Ust-Luga port, or on the Russian ships to go through the Gulf of Finland. You may say, Dennis, there is the international regulations allowing Russians to go through the Gulf of Finland, but here's the question of the national security and safety of the NATO countries. But how Russia responds on Ukrainian strikes on the Russian oil facilities and other infrastructure? Well, today Russia hit Kiev, the capital city of Ukraine, and the residential area. For this attack, Russia used Kinzhal hypersonic missiles, and missile hit very close to McDonald's. Unfortunately, one of the person who was staying with his car near McDonald's lost his life. Alright guys, about the news from the front lines, I see more and more of the videos of how Russians complain that Ukraine uses artillery and long-range drones to hit their positions in the trenches, in the bunkers. Yes, for the YouTube reason, I cannot share all of the photos or videos with you, but I have Telegram for that, so I highly recommend you to subscribe for my Telegram group, which you may find in the video description just below. But what those Russian complaints show me, that Ukraine obtained more of the artillery shells, more of the artillery systems maybe, and Russians start definitely to feel it. The Ukrainian side is mostly calm about it, but yes, Russians complain more and more. And because of it, we have even limited success on the front lines for Ukrainian defenders. For example, I was really concerned about this pocket Kurahovo direction, especially about this sector and the Russian attack there, but recently Ukraine even performed the counterattack near Shevchenko, causing Russia to retreat. And moreover, Ukraine is now on attack towards Suhiyali. By the way, those kind of the maps I like a lot. They're presented by the Myco 73 Analytic. I would also draw my own maps because I have some of the data, but I'll have to spend lots and lots of the time for that entire day analyzing drone videos, checking out the information from all of the possible sources, analyzing geolocation. So thankfully we have the experts who do this stuff, and I'm here to share with you just the updates. I trust Myco 73. Usually his updates are the most precise, and also Ukrainian deep state gives actual information. Well, according to the deep state, Russia after all advanced towards Dachne and Little. However, Russia failed to advance towards Ulaki village, even though they show on their maps that they're in Ulaki, but it's not like that. Yes, Ukraine will leave this area, but little by little. Now guys, I'm quite confident about Ukrainian soldiers in this particular place, because the command responsible for this side of the front lines, well, it is competent. Yeah, you may say, Dennis, Ukraine is losing the ground. It was on the 1st December like that, and yeah, Ukraine retreats, but Ukraine has to retreat to save the soldiers, to save its army, because Russia still has more of the resources. But Ukraine retreats in a very, very smart way, giving just the parts of the Russian territory little by little. By the time Russia is sure that, for example, they create the pocket here, they create the pocket there, this was the only mistake here in Hanivka, Romanivka, where the part of the Ukrainian soldiers were encircled. But in general, the retreatment is okay. It causes Russia absolutely crazy losses. So they take those small villages, they take the fields, but at the same time they suffer with significant crisis in their army. And late forced them to slow down a little before they advanced with much higher pace. So for now, the only huge concern for me is Velika Novosilka, because we have the confirmation that Russia after all took Vremivka and they cut the way out for Ukrainian army across the bridge. Moreover, as you can see over here, Russia moves from the eastern part. So here Ukrainian army is jammed between the Russian side and this river, which is the big water obstacle. Russia attacks from all of the sides. So the only way out is to leave everything, all of the equipment, and cross the river, unfortunately. It was understandable for me that Ukraine should withdraw the forces from the region before, but the Ukrainian command hesitated to give this order. And all of the roads were cut, so all of the supply lines which were before. And here, because of the river plus this part of the terrain, it's impossible to move out with tanks or any sort of the vehicles. I wonder if Ukraine has some of the bridge here put it before by engineering forces, but I think that Russia would cut it with their artillery. So Velika Novosilka is actually a huge concern, and I don't think that the Ukrainian command in this area is competent. And we see how Russia also moves in Kharkiv Oblast. So today they advanced in this direction, yesterday and today, occupying this field. Their goal here is to go to Borova. They want to take this entire region, like more to the south, including Liman, under their control. And for this reason they crossed the river here in Terny direction. And also somehow Russia advanced in the northern region of the Kharkiv Oblast in Tihe. So Ukraine before was successful in repelling the Russian army from Vovchansk, but Russia now strikes here. Probably the aim for Russians is to cross the small river here and to attack Ukraine from this side, cutting this road. But still the advancement for the last 24 hours is really small. I would say that Russia doesn't have enough forces to advance towards Kharkiv or here somewhere right now. But if Ukraine withdraws the forces from Kursk, Russia may send their accumulated forces in Kursk Oblast towards Kharkiv, for example. Or they may try to chase the Ukrainian army towards Sumy region. So unfortunately, yeah, Russia still has more options than Ukraine, but Ukraine in many of the directions holds well. About Pokrovsk, well, Russia moves northbound, they want to cut this road, and there was the information from Ukrainian MP Bezugla that Russians were spotted in Pokrovsk city, or Pokrovsk town, it's fair to say. Well, actually the part of this report is correct, there was the small sabotage group spotted in Pokrovsk, but it was zeroed. Our commanders in the place say that it's not first time happening. Russians, especially during the night time, might go for the longer distances 2, 3 persons to disturb Ukrainian positions, and sometimes they bypass Ukrainian defense. And it is possible actually. There was actually the live case that our soldier who stayed in Mariupol in Azovstal, he stayed in the factory for many days. He didn't want to surrender and he exited this entire area on his own feet. I mean, all of the front line, the hardest part for him was to exit Mariupol. But he did it, and he didn't trust the deal about Azov, and actually he was correct. Okay, Micah 73 also confirms that Russians move towards Tihe. Right, some of the political news. Firstly, Europe, Germany. Angela Merkel said that Ukraine will not survive without United States and NATO support. The same who say that Ukraine shouldn't be in NATO. It happened in 2008 that the United States was okay with the decision, but Germany was against. And here partially she is right, but Ukraine will survive in any case. Like, even if Russia was successful occupying Ukraine fully, still they wouldn't have the chance to reach their goal because of the local resistance. Well, it's actually impossible for Russia to occupy Ukraine just because of that case, because locals, well, they do hate Russians ruling. And this photo went viral. Frau Baerbock is running away from Chancellor Schultz. So even in their coalition there are some of the clashes relative to Ukrainian support, because Chancellor Schultz actually blocks 3 billion euro support for Ukraine right now. He's following the steps of the Republican Party, or it's better to say a mega part of the Republican Party, which blocked the military support for Ukraine the last year, or the year before even. Back then, American politicians connected the help for Ukraine with internal border crisis. Probably now everyone forgot about that border crisis. No one is speaking about it any longer, at least in the media. But back then it was the major news with some of the reservoir, with some of the scandals at the border. So then they need something, media will feed you with everything. They will create any sort of the provocation, blaming everyone around, and here Chancellor Scholz plays the same game. He connects some of the internal German issues with the military support of Ukraine to be voted in one package, and he is against it. If you somehow want to know more, there is the big article on my Patreon page describing more details. So if you want to support this channel, you might join my Patreon page, and today I'm planning to do the live stream there for my Patreon supporters and also for the members of my YouTube channel. I'll do it more often, once in 2 or 3 days, we'll see. Boris Pastores, who is the defense minister of Germany and who is from the Scholz party, he also disagrees with his leader, and he said that the military support for Ukraine should be granted, it shouldn't be blocked. But Scholz is playing the same stuff as MAGA played before, which might delay some of the military support which is crucially needed for Ukraine to prepare during the winter period of time for the summer campaign. And you know, guys, I understand why the alternative for Germany is getting more votes now, because those parties which are ruling right now, they have no concept, they also argue a lot, and they do not fulfill its own promises. Plus, you know, the economic situation in Germany, it's not the best, and for this reason people are willing to vote for populists like AfD, but AfD is total craziness, because it represents the values of Adolf Hitler in many of the ways. Some of the leftists in Germany, like Sarah Wagenknecht, also called to stop the military support to Ukraine. So honestly, I don't know what political force is good for Ukraine now in Germany. Well, I hope that the new coalition will be created and it will support Ukraine. And the leftists, well, they are not such popular as AfD, for example. Oh, Elon Musk commented, from MAGA to Mega, make Europe great again. About Elon's personality, well, it's crazy. I'm gonna film a funny video about him and how he was exposed by the gaming community already 2 of the times. He's probably the most unsecured human being out there. He has hundreds of billions of assets but still behaves like a small child. I think that after all he has significant psychological problems and he should be cured, but obviously no one would cure him, and he wants to expand his influence also to Europe. He's blaming Germany, United Kingdom government and many other governments around the world. He's not an American patriot, no, he would like to have the influence all around. I would call Elon as a modern-day fascist. It's my personal opinion. I see it like that. I could be wrong. The thing that he wants to create this universe of corporates in which every member of society will have his or her dedicated job, like not what you want to achieve in this life, but dedicated for you. Same like in India, you know, they have those castes. I hope it's the same name in English. So if you're born in particular family, in particular caste you belong, you do particular job. Yeah, India officially says that there are no castes any longer, but no, there are. So that's what awaits us if Elon Musk gets the global power. No more American dream, which this guy achieved, by the way. You'll have your own directly purpose for entire career. All of your actions will be strictly controlled by this dictator. Why dictator? Because he uses his platform to ban people he doesn't like or restrict those. He even restricted the gaming player Osmagol, who filmed the debunked video on Elon Musk. Musk removed his verification mark, so that guy is unable to earn anything from X. Or Twitter, it's better to say. X is shitty name. But you know, after all, I expect the dead end for Elon Musk. Because Donald Trump is not a fool, he understands who Elon Musk really is. And I predict, maybe my prediction will be not correct, but I think that Elon Musk will not stay in the Trump's team. And there will be some sort of the big scandal between Donald Trump and Musk. And that's actually happened with the half of the previous Trump's team. Then Trump hired those that were the best of the best, but later on, Trump accused those and they accused Trump. It went to total madness, and Elon Musk will be one more guy like that, with just more influence. But he's so insecure, I mean, Elon Musk. Donald Trump has other psychological complex, but he's not even close to Elon Musk. Elon is really dangerous. Right, Russia and Iran are getting closer together. As I say to you, dictators unite. They signed the agreement, which is mostly the same as Russia signed with North Korea before. Some sort of the guarantees cooperation in economy and military. It means that potentially Russia may obtain more weaponry from Iran. On the other hand, they will provide their technologies to Iran, military technologies and probably nuclear. They also agreed to sell the Russian gas to Iran, but for now the gas transit capacity is very limited for Russia. That's why they're able to supply just 5% of what they really want to supply. For those big projects to build new pipes or something, Russian Gazprom simply in lack of the funds. Gazprom was building the new pipeline to China but was forced to freeze the project because of the lack of funds. And Chinese investors, well, they don't want to invest in that construction. They say to Russia that you're gonna build your pipe and we're gonna purchase your gas in that case. But we are not interested in building something on your territory, which I think is a smart move from China. Orban, long time no see. He said that Ukraine is the economical threat to Europe. He called Western countries to stop any sort of the support of Ukraine and also said that the ties with Russia should be restored. That's what I think about his statement. Alright, TikTok ban in the United States of America. Probably it will happen. For how long? Not sure. Probably Donald Trump will rise this ban or lift this ban. Especially now that Americans are massively going to the China-made platform. It's called Red Note or something. Originally from China, like TikTok, it's partially in China, but the main servers are located in the United States, and all of the communication data for United States users is also in the United States. So I wonder why United States decided to ban it after all, because they might have the access towards those servers themselves. If they wanted to, like if it is the national security topic, they might get access for it. But now this is banned, and I'm not sure whether people will watch Instagram more or subscribe for Meta platform, because Mark was the initiator of this ban. First of all, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, who behaved like a whore, especially now we see it. Then Donald Trump is the president-elect, and Mark has to do something with his platform and his previous conflicts with Elon Musk. So Elon Musk, yes, he is a crazy guy, I may tell, but he was supporting Donald Trump, then he wasn't the president-elect. Like, he bet a lot for the Donald Trump's presidency, so he was really risking, let's say. But Zuckerberg, after Donald Trump was elected, started to behave differently, and he even accused previous White House administration for trying to access users' data on Facebook. But before he said that no, there were no attempts, we're not sending your information, no. He even appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast saying that stuff, and he is now saying that he will follow Donald Trump's policy, and he also lowered the censorship on his platforms. I mean, so silly, and people see it, and it was Zuckerberg's plan to ban TikTok to have more views, and also his platforms in Meta, they actually do not allow creators to earn funds directly from the platforms like TikTok, for example, does or did. YouTube also does that with AdSense. Yes, the system is not perfect, but still creators earn funds for the content. But Meta is so greedy that all of the money from the advertisers go only for Meta. Will not give anything to creators. No. You may earn on Facebook and Instagram only if you have some term business, you want to reach wider audience, but on Instagram it's almost impossible to get subscribers if you don't pay to the platform for boosting your profile in search. So it's very greedy stuff. So people like TikTok because of the algorithms and because the platform was more or less generous with its creators, and people didn't care whether it was Chinese or not. That's why there are so many freaking followers, 170 million. And obviously many of the Americans will be just disappointed if TikTok is gone tomorrow, Sunday. TikTok actually changed everything. Even YouTube was forced to create YouTube Shorts, but their algorithms are not as good still as in TikTok. And what you earn as creator from YouTube Shorts is actually close to zero. After all, YouTube is the platform for the long videos, and YouTube Shorts is not working perfectly like short videos are working on TikTok. And the most crazy stuff that people are switching to Red, Note and Lemonade, which are both China original made platforms with the servers located in China. This is #1 downloaded platform in the United States. This is #2 downloaded platform in the United States in Apple Store. I mean, it's even in Chinese, and people learn Chinese to operate that platform, which allow you to grow fast, no matter if you have the wide audience or not. But people just go there, they want to express their energy, and they don't want to go to Meta because of the crazy policies of Mark. And as for me, guys, I think X or Twitter now has more threat to national security compared to TikTok, because I have so much Russian propaganda on X that it's crazy. I never had that stuff on TikTok. And I'm not like protecting TikTok or something, but I think that that platform should have banned well before gaining 170 million American followers who just built their business around TikTok. That's how United States would potentially lose many of the funds from the taxpayers. And you know, there is no real alternative to TikTok, unfortunately, because of the reasons I say to you. Maybe the best variant would be to sell TikTok to some American, but TikTok doesn't want to do it. They have the CEO from Singapore. I think I put too much light on this topic. It's just touching me because I'm in the social media all the time and I know some of the stuff. Well, anyways, guys, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.